So here I am just finishing up the last one. Well, not finishing up, I guess, working on the last one. Or on the second one. This one was really hard. I ended up laying it down at some point and building it like laying down because it was just so disproportionate that it wouldn't stand up on its own with this clay. Again, I'm hoping that when it hardens, it will stand up, but this one is drying laying down, while the other one is drying laying up. But, oh yeah, that's where I lay it down. I'm working on the body here. What I noticed about these figurines is they're kind of flatter, like sideways. They look flat than like going circular all the way around. That's what I noticed about the first and the second one, especially with the heads. Their heads seem kind of skinnier sideways way. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, and then here I am making the arms that connect to the hips on this one. This one also had fingers, which I tried to do with the clay, but it was so hard, and I knew that they wouldn't attach right if I made them all individually. So I had like cut the clay into 5 pieces and then like kind of made fingers that way. It was harder than I expected. Oh, and then I had to turn on my light because it was getting dark outside while I was working on this. Some more scoring and scratching. I'm just finishing this up. This one I feel like was also made out of one piece for wood, like whittled from one piece of wood. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I think that's why it was able to be so disproportionate with the head being so heavy on it, was because it was made out of wood and not clay. Yeah, that's me trying and failing to stand it up. But I knew that even with without the head, if it wasn't going to stand up, then definitely with the head it wasn't going to stand up. So I just worked on it while it was laying down. And there's me sculpting out like the eyes and the face a little bit before I put it onto the neck. Oh, and another thing I realized about these pieces are all of them have like a very slender face, which again relates to women, more feminine characteristic of a body. Yeah, like I said, I don't think that any of these sculptures really have a gender identity. This one did look a little bit manly because it had no chest and like it was more broader in the shoulders and stuff, but there was no indication of it being a male or a female, which I thought was really interesting within these sculptures. I think most of them do that on purpose so I can identify with multiple different people. I just really love the style of these too, like the eyes, they're very stylistic. Kind of, I called them coffee beans for both the first and the second one because that's what they remind me of, because they even have like the little slits in the middle. And I just really like their faces. They're really stylistic. And their eyes are a lot bigger than their lips and their nose, which I think overall plays well with the character because the head is so much bigger than the body in these, and that just accentuates it. So there the eyes are. And I'm making a nose now. Just defining that bridge and adding a little button on the bottom. And then the mouth. And then I just went over everything with water to smooth everything out. I again tried to stand it up, but the leg fell off, and so I just laid it back down, and I was just planning to let it dry laying down. I'll show you a close-up of how it turned out. Oh, and they had these little lines down its eyes, so I wanted to add those. It's not the best, definitely, but it does look similar to the picture. And then on my third one, this one is called Mangaaka Congo Power Figure. We talked about this one in class, and it's basically like they kind of use it as a voodoo doll, and that's why I think that it doesn't really have a gender identity, is because it could associate with anyone that they were trying to hurt or inflict with these needles that would go into the body. This one is definitely going to be my most challenging, and when I started I didn't really know if I was going to add the nails or not into it, and I decided not to just because it would have been a lot. I did add a few, but it was going to be a lot of work if I added all the nails in it, and also I didn't want it to distract too much from the body, which is what I was really trying to encompass. This one also has hair, which I thought was interesting. That's its little bun, and it has stylistic lines on it, which points more towards women or femininity, but doesn't always have to, especially in ancient art. And honestly, the body looks more like a male to me, but the face looks more female, so I think overall it just balances out, and it doesn't really need to have a gender identity. I think it worked out. This one also had ears. The other ones had ears, but they were more like drawn on than like actual 3D ears. And then this one I also went from top to bottom just to see if it would create like a different effect than the other ones. I didn't know if it was going to turn out any better, but I just wanted to get the proportions right on the head before, so maybe it would stand up a little easier if the head was a little smaller. So here's me working on the neck, attaching it to the neck. And I kind of just let that sit while I worked on the body. This one had wider shoulders and a wider body. More realistic, I guess, than the other two. So I just kind of went with that. Scored and slipped on my head. And then here I'm rolling out the legs, which are pretty much cylinder legs with a little bit of curve into them. So I just went with cylinders for now, and then I'll finish this up in another video.